Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first Pinnacle Series webinar of 2021. First of all, I would just like to say a very big thank you to Rose and Haley for making time to do this webinar with us today. It is a little after 6 a.m. in the States, so we really appreciate you guys taking out the time to discuss and go through the power of Pinnacle Series with us today. So Pinnacle Series has been part of Moderna, or should I say we have been with Pinnacle Series for a couple of years now, and it's been a very successful relationship going forward. And yeah, we're really happy to go through everything with them today. I'm just going to introduce Rose Otto. She's the partner manager at Pinnacle. She's been with Pinnacle Series since about 2020 as a partner manager. She works with all the valid partners on sales, onboarding, training, and marketing invitations. And she also works very closely with us and our sales team, which we are very grateful for. So thank you so much, Rose. And then today, Haley will be going through everything with us. Haley is the Customer Success Manager at Eagle Point, and she's been there for about a year and a half, where she's worked with global and strategic clients in the AEC and manufacturing industries. And before that, Haley was a business administrator with an emphasis in healthcare information, where she worked at a global leading company for integrated risk and business solutions. So I definitely think you are in capable hands with these two ladies. And also just want to say a big thank you to Katie for also giving us the time today to go through this webinar. So over to yourself and Rose, Haley.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nick, for those great introductions. Hello, everybody. My name is Rose, like Nick said. Very excited to share the Pinnacle series with you all today. So I will quickly go over the agenda, and then I'm going to very soon turn it over to Haley to get us started. But yeah, my name is Rose. Very nice to meet everybody. And today we'll be covering the why behind Pinnacle series, and we'll go over the platform and what it all does and how it can help your organization with things like training, knowledge capture and sharing, and increasing productivity. So a little bit about our organization before we get started. So we've been in business since 1983. We're a company of architects, engineers, construction managers, customer success managers, and developers. And our background really is in creating Autodesk add-ons. But in 2006, our focus shifted to the Pinnacle series. And with all that experience that we, had acquired over the years, and with all the companies that we have been working with, we realized that there was a big need for a platform like this. And Haley will shortly go into really the why behind Pinnacle series, but today we have over 200,000 users in the platform. We're a 30-year member of the Autodesk Developer Network, and we're also part of the Autodesk Authorized Publisher Program. And we're super excited to partner with Moderna and bring the Pinnacle series to organizations like yours. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Haley to talk about the why behind Pinnacle series and take you through the platform. So Haley.
Thanks, Rose. And hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar today. I'm very excited to show you a little bit more about Pinnacle series and how it can be used as a solution. I work day in and day out through the solution, one through implementation, but really making sure that it's set up for success and used for technology challenges that organizations face. So I really do think it's very valuable to start with the overall foundation of why Pinnacle series was built as a solution. As Rose has said, we have been within the AEC and manufacturing industry for the past 36 going on 40 years. So through time working with these organizations, it was discovered that there are three common challenges that organizations face. And that's the concept of continuous learning, knowledge capture and sharing, and increasing productivity. So I want to briefly unpack these three areas a little bit further before we jump into the Pinnacle series solution itself. And we'll start with the idea of enhancing continuous learning. So when you think about learning today, learning is not going to be a one-time experience when staff, they're onboarding, getting them up to speed and in project work. It doesn't stop there. So I really like to think of learning as lifelong learning nowadays. So whether you're trying to cross-train, upskill, or you're adopting a new technology, that learning experience is really going to be ongoing through an entire employees' career. So having a training platform is really more important than ever to establish a quality workforce. And then where we go next is going to be the ability to capture and share knowledge. So this has become very apparent whenever organizations might have several office locations, or you share work between teams. So how are we able to easily grab knowledge from one expert, or subject expert, I should say? So how do we grab their skill sets from one individual in one location, and then have the ability to share out that knowledge across the organization and across your teams, so that staff are able to easily reference that knowledge anywhere that they are, to ensure that your teams are continuously moving forward and adopting either new up-to-date best practices and procedures, maybe it's standards and templates that they need insight to. So through any change within the organization, this solution can be used as an easily accessible platform, so that everyone is continuing to move forward with the knowledge that they're needed for their roles and responsibilities and project work. And then at the end of the day, it's all about productivity. So the most important challenge that we hope to solve is how to get people working smarter and being more efficient in their project work. So when they are using these different design technologies, a lot of them have shifted into the cloud. So we're able to accomplish this, a few different ways, but I want to highlight that it all comes down to using the right tools and technology. So looking at the data of Pinnacle Series, it's actually been noted to be about a 50-50 split. So 50% of people use this for that structured continuous learning experience, but then the other 50% actually use it on an ad hoc basis for just-in-time training with our micro-learning that's been published within the platform, so that we can allow for one central location for people to reference those just-in-time training materials. So staff are increasing the consistency in modeling across their teams. So we do go above and beyond an e-learning solution, because we want staff to stay billable and in production. So if they get stuck and they need to find an answer to a question, they're going to be able to come into a central repository where content has been published by subject experts, and it's also going to be your internal knowledge. So above all in all, that is a high-level overview of why Pinnacle Series was built as a solution. So I hope this really resonates with a lot of you. And from here, what I want to do is dive into the solution itself and show you a little bit about how to navigate the solution from both an end user's perspective as well as from a management's perspective. All right, so what you're looking at here is the Pinnacle Series home screen. So I want to now show a little bit about how we can actually use this and tie it into those 3 challenge areas of continuous learning, capturing and sharing knowledge, and increasing productivity. So just to start with a brief overview of navigating Pinnacle Series, I do want to note that it is a browser-based solution. So this makes the solution easily accessible. So whether staff are working in the office, they're working from home, or they have access on a mobile device, they can log in to Pinnacle Series anywhere that they are with internet access in a browser, and they can browse and access all the same training solutions that have been published within this platform. With this also being a browser-based solution, it also means you have an unlimited amount of storage to the cloud. So if you choose to customize and publish your own training materials, you can publish as much as you would like. I also want to briefly note that the platform interface is fully brandable. So you can add in your own color themes and logos and images to make this really start to feel like an internal trusted solution for staff. But logging in as an end user, they will have access to training materials on day 1 of the subscription to Pinnacle Series. So I want to note that there are 2 different library areas that you can actually build. The beginning library area, this is going to be where you can actually publish your own custom training materials So I've actually provided a few different examples of how we can do this. So you can actually publish your own training materials. Maybe it's by discipline. You can publish this by the softwares that you use. So you can really start to make this what you're hoping it to be within your organization based on different technology training needs. So staff are accessing your own custom training materials. But above and beyond that, you can take advantage of a lot of learning right out of the box on day one to Pinnacle Series. So it starts with accredited courses and it goes all the way down to V-Ray. And so with this, you can identify what those technology needs are that you're looking for. I will note that our most robust library is going to be the Autodesk Library. So we do support several different versions. So you can identify what technology you are looking for training materials on. And then we have published a variety of different version years. So if you have older projects that require those older version years of those technologies, we do support older version years, but you do have the functionality of turning off these older version years and only referencing the latest and greatest years in these technologies. But above and beyond that, we've published learning materials in the platform to accommodate 4 different learning styles. So the first is going to be structured learning paths. So this is going to teach a new skill from start to finish. So staff have the capability of self-enrolling in any of the learning paths that have been published in here. There's also going to be published workflows. So these are going to be best practices of using these technologies that have been published by subject experts. Documents, there's a lot of documents based on different version years and technologies. So documents will be frequently asked questions and how-to documents. And then videos, everyone knows what videos are, but again, we really believe in that micro-learning. There we go. We believe in micro-learning. So videos are going to be about 5 minutes or less, so that staff can get a quick answer and get back onto their project work. So there are, again, a variety of different libraries that will come pre-built out of the box that you have access to based on your technology needs. So if you're a user of BIM 360, there's a lot of content for that. There's Bluebeam. Global BIM standards is very popular. There's even going to be a Microsoft library. So we want this to really be a platform that can be used for everyone within an organization. So we make libraries available that will go above and beyond those design engineers or architects within one platform to easily access. But now I would like to focus our attention and highlight the 3 core areas of the Pinnacle Series platform that a typical user will reference. And that's going to be the My Courses area, my work groups, and the search engine. So I'll cover all 3 areas, but I first want to start with the My Courses area because this will take us to that first common challenge of the platform that we hope to solve of a continuous learning experience. So when we're thinking that we need to maybe upskill, cross-train, or get new hires up to speed, for the most part, they will be enrolled into a course, and any courses are going to sit in their My Courses area. So they have the capability of self-enrolling into learning, but they can also be assigned by a manager. Either way, I want to walk you through a little bit about what courses will look like or consist of within Pinnacle Series. So what you can think of is you'll have training curriculum listed over here on the left-hand column. So this is going to start teaching you ways of utilizing this technology. So Revit 2021 in this instance. The courses will consist of written documentation, so text-based materials. There's going to be video content that's highlighting introduction, how to teach staff a new skill. A lot of courses will also have exercises associated with them so they can download a zip file and practice those new skills that they just learned within this course. And then at the end, we follow up with a quiz to really validate that they did learn the skills that were referenced within this course. But now what starts to really make Pinnacle Series stand apart from other platforms out there, there's a few different ways that I really believe Pinnacle Series stands apart. And that's going to be the customization aspect of Pinnacle Series. So when you look at this course, it really might be about 95% of the way that you do things internally. But what we want to do is make this 100% your way of learning. So what we have the capability of doing is identifying your subject experts and allowing and elevating their permissions within this platform so that they can capture and share their own knowledge and build that into a learning experience. So that would actually be done on the back end of the platform. So your appropriate subject experts and admins or managers would have access to this management utility portal where we can easily manage permissions and add the right users to have the right permission rights. So when it comes to managing content, we will actually be in the Manage Content portal. And to show you just how quick and easy it is to start publishing your own custom training materials, what you can do is actually harvest any existing materials that you have published. So really quickly, I will pull over some example documents that I have on my machine. We do support PDF documents, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint, HTML files, Word documents. So with a really quick drag and drop, you can actually begin adding any of those training materials that you've already created internally. So you can publish those. The same is going to hold true with videos. If you have any MP4 videos with the drag and drop in, you can add those videos into Pinnacle Series. And then with that, you can begin building out that structured learning experience. So you have the capability of taking advantage of the learning that's been published out of the box in Pinnacle Series. So what you can easily do is navigate to the folder of that technology. So for this instance, we can use Revit, and we're looking to build out that beginner level experience. So you can copy down any of our public content that's been published by subject experts. So you don't have to recreate the wheel and start from scratch. And then once you've copied that down, maybe you've identified that a specific course within this learning path is not relevant to your organization. So we can easily delete any of the courses that have been published. And then where we can go next is diving into specific courses themselves and actually modify the training materials within one specific course. So if you say a specific video is not relevant for your organization, we can simply remove that and then begin adding in any of your own custom training materials. So let's quickly add that document that I just drag and dropped into the platform, and then any of those videos as well. So this is a welcome to the organization and welcome to Revit 2021. This is how we use Revit internally at the organization. So very quick and easy to start adding your own custom training materials. And then once these are ready to be published, we can make those readily available for staff to either self-enroll. Otherwise, a manager can go ahead and begin assigning training directly from the back end of the platform as well. To bring learning full circle, we do really believe that e-learning is very important, but we still believe the concept of live training is also very valuable. So with this, we have actually published a widget within the home screen interface that can be modified if needed, but you have the capability of actually publishing any live training sessions within this live events calendar. So what we hope to really establish is a blended learning environment. So with this, you have the capability of establishing prerequisites. So we want to make sure that you're having the most productive live training session with staff coming in with the fundamentals already established before they're able to register for this event. And we can also collect pre-registration information. So these questions can be built in and customized so that the presenter or the host of any of those live training events is going to get insight into what the attendees are hoping to learn by attending this live event. So all in all, when it comes to learning, we really hope that you have the ability to capture an e-learning experience, but also capture that blended learning environment where you can manage, monitor, and track everything live training all within one platform. So at the end of the day, what we want to really make sure is that your admins are going to have insight after those learning events. And so that is going to be done on the back end in our learning report. So appropriate admins and managers, again, will have those elevated permissions so that they can log in and then run a quick report based on what their teams have been doing in the platform to support that learning experience. So with this in the learning reports, you will get insight into the completed courses, who your top learners are, how much time is being spent in learning, what's currently in progress, and then those live training sessions, what's coming up and what has been completed. You can also get a little more into the details. So if you navigate into report details, this is where you can actually filter and collect raw data, which can be exported. So if you're looking to filter reports for a group of people, you can identify who those groups of people are and then easily filter based on that learning experience for a group of people. You can also navigate into the raw data so that you can quickly get insight into the learning that was completed and by who completed it. This is going to give you insight into when it was completed, if they reviewed 100% of the content or not, how long they actually viewed the course, and if there was a quiz associated with that learning, it's also going to give you insight into how they scored on that quiz. So a lot of valuable data that can be collected on the back end when it comes to that learning experience within one platform. But that is the learning experience. So what I like to note is that learning is going to be a very small percent of staff's time. So what we really want to do is make sure that they can stay billable and in production. So they might have a set of hours that they can designate to that structured training experience internally. But what we want to now focus on is that capability of capturing and sharing knowledge and helping to increase productivity across the organization. So when you think that your staff are trained up and they're in project work, the skills are going to be new for them. So I know for myself, when I learn a new skill, I don't always remember everything that I learned. So when staff come across, I remember I learned this new skill, but how exactly did that happen? So rather than having to self-enroll into that course again, what we provide them the capability of doing is actually using the search engine and searching on keywords based on what they're stuck on. So with this, they can find that standalone just-in-time training materials that have been published. So again, when you're searching for content, you do have the capability of easily filtering. So best practice is I like to filter and navigate into the technology that I have loaded on my machine for project work. So I can filter by that technology and then filter again even further based on asset type. So again, those 4 asset types that have been published within Pinnacle Series. We can easily navigate into a document. So here's a frequently asked question or a tip and trick of using this technology. This might be exactly what the end user or staff member is looking for to get them past their problem. Otherwise, they can also access this related area over here on the right for additional suggested learning materials. Otherwise, they might be more of a visualization person. So I know that I really like visuals. So if they want to reference a video, that is also made available. So again, we believe in that micro learning experience within the platform. So videos are going to be 5 minutes or less. So again, they don't have to go through a structured learning experience. They can jump in, run a quick search based on what they're currently stuck on in their project. And here's a quick video to get you the answer and get back on to project work. They have different controls within videos, so they can actually speed up any of the videos. They can slow them down as needed. Videos will also be transcribed so that staff can read along through the video. They have the ability to skip ahead in the transcription and also navigate back in time in the video to take them where they need to go. But with the transcription, I want to note that any of the content and the transcription can be transcribed into over 60 different languages. So that is a very quick and easy process to do. So if English is not that preferred language, we do support different languages within this platform so that it can be used for everyone within your organization. And with this, if you are choosing to add in your own custom training materials, so if you would like to publish your custom videos, you also have the capability of auto transcribing any of your video materials, and that is also going to then be transcribed if you would like. So the power of the transcription that I like to note is that when staff are utilizing the search engine, it's not only going to search on the title of this video, it is also going to search down within the transcription to make sure that we are providing the most relevant training materials based on the search that was ran within Pinnacle Series. And now the last asset type that I want to highlight within Pinnacle Series, and I think is our most powerful asset type, is going to be our workflows. So the way that you will read a workflow that's been published within Pinnacle Series is going to document best practices of using different technologies. So a workflow will actually walk users through how to accomplish a process from start to finish, so we can standardize work across offices and teams. So the way that the workflow reads is that you will have your workflow tree over here on the left that's outlining those processes. You can select a process and it will actually populate different instructions over here on the right. And also in the center here is going to be our diagram. So we have a flow chart that's showing and outlining those processes as well. So you have the capability of easily identifying who is responsible for what process within the overall life cycle of this workflow. I can zoom into my workflow and navigate the center flow chart if needed. So I can use my scroll wheel and actually zoom in to the workflow. And then again, I can start selecting the different processes and those tasks and steps associated with the workflow is going to populate over here on the right. So reading through this workflow, it's really going to help users to increase the overall consistency of their project modeling. And then also make sure they have the right reference and resource materials at the right point in time. So at the end of the steps and tasks, here's a reference video that's also showing how to go through and complete that step within the workflow. So really making sure they are supported through everything in their project work. But another very powerful tool that I want to highlight is going to actually be some of the different embedded links. So when they come across these embedded links, what they can do is select this, and it's actually going to run that command for them in project work. So when I selected that collaborate command, it ran me to that correct command in my project work. So the utilization of workflows is going to help increase the consistency of how work is being completed, and then also ensure that staff are running the right commands at the right point in time in their project. And with that concept of customization, you can choose to copy down any of the public content that's been published by subject experts. So looking at this workflow, if there are a few different processes that you do than what we've outlined here, you can copy down this workflow and modify it to be your best practices and your workflow so that staff are being guided through the way that you want them to work internally. And then with that, there are different controls. So you can identify who your internal experts are. So if staff come across a workflow and they want to know who your BIM subject expert is, you can identify who that expert is internally. And then there's a few different ways of sharing out this knowledge. So you can populate an email and share the quick link, or share any way that you really prefer by copying the link or sharing to your my assets. So this is a favorites area on your home screen. But the last place that you can share is going to be your work groups. And that's going to be that last commonly used area on your home screen here on Pinnacle Series. So a work group is going to be a great place to collaborate internally and organize the right content and training materials for specific users. So if you have a group of new hires coming on board, you can create a work group for that onboarding group. Also, if there's a group coming in and they need to work on a specific project, you can create a group for that. Maybe it's safety training that's coming up. So anytime you have a group of people and you need to share specific training materials to that group, what I like to do is actually create a work group and organize the right materials within this work group. So if I quickly navigate into this healthcare project work group that has been created, I went ahead and I added the best practices and standards and training materials that is going to support my team for this upcoming project. So you can share that BIM checklist and then also share a workflow that's outlining best practices of using Revit or any technology that's needed for this project. You do have the capability of sharing in courses and learning paths. So really you can start to share in the right materials that's going to be needed as a resource to support people for this project. So they have insight into those standards and best practices and associate the right training materials all within one central location within Pinnacle Series. And then once the right content has been shared, we then want to add in the right members. So you can add in your internal team, but if you also work with subcontractors and subconsultants, we do provide the capability of adding in those external users. So if they're also required to view the standards and training materials for this project, you can invite them into this work group, and they will only have access to the training materials that have been shared to this work group rather than all of the content that's been published within Pinnacle Series. So with this, you're going to get insight into, did they view our standards for this project? And did those subcontractors and subconsultants also complete the learning that was published and required for this project? And then with that, there's also a discussion board. So making sure that staff can collaborate about this project and learn a little bit more or have a discussion about what has actually been shared to this work group. Anytime there is a change to this work group, so if anything is added or removed from this work group, we want to make sure staff are staying up to date about it. So staff would receive a notification within the platform that there has been a change made to this work group. So everyone is always staying up to date and moving forward with this specific project. Now, next, I want to highlight everything done in the platform is also being tracked. So we highlighted learning reports a little bit earlier. There is a second type of report that you have access to within the platform, and that's the usage report. So if you need insight into who is logging into Pinnacle Series and how often are they logging in, that can be discovered in our usage reports. And then also insight into if they're accessing that just-in-time training material, what are those resources that they're accessing? So what videos are they watching and what documents are they reading? A lot of powerful insight that you'll get within these reports. My favorite is going to be the top searches. So with this, who is searching for what using that search engine? And again, you can jump into the report details and then actually filter by specific user or groups of people again. So you can identify that maybe specific staff within a couple different offices or across different disciplines are searching for different search terms. And that might actually identify areas of opportunity that maybe you need to publish additional custom training material. Otherwise, it presents an idea of if this is a wide enough search term, maybe we need to potentially put on a live training session. So lots of powerful information there. If you decide to publish your own custom content, you can really make sure you're holding those subject experts accountable and they're publishing the right amount of content in the platform. So you get insight into what's being published and by who. And again, most accessed content, that's really going to give you insight into what are my staff actually accessing within the platform. And then over time, who is being added or filtered out to have access to Pinnacle Series. So a couple other administrative pieces. One, from an IT standpoint, it's very quick and easy to get staff added into Pinnacle Series. So you can manually add users if you'd like. You can import users via spreadsheet, but we also provide the ability to sync with your Active Directory and automate that sync. So as new hires are coming in or anyone's leaving the organization, we're automatically filtering in and out any of those users. We also have the capability of configuring single sign-on, so staff will not have to remember another password. And then, like I noted before, we want to make sure we're identifying your correct subject experts and elevating their permissions. So you can identify the right groups of people and provide them with the right permissions based on the different controls that they need access to within Pinnacle Series. A couple others is that we do provide the capability of downloading content for offline viewing. So if staff are offline for any point in time or any reason, they can have access, one, to Pinnacle Series on their mobile device if they have internet access. But if they do not have internet access, any of the training materials can be downloaded for offline viewing. And then another very powerful tool that I would like to highlight is that at the end of the day, this is all going to be new for staff. So we want to make sure that they can get quick, just-in-time training materials at their fingertips. So what we've actually done is integrated with Revit. We've also done this with Civil 3D and AutoCAD. So I want to highlight the Related Learning Topics plugin sitting here on my project work. With this plugin, it's actually going to identify the different commands that I'm running in my project and provide me with contextual learning to support the different training in Pinnacle Series. So maybe you have a new hire that's coming on board and they are not familiar with Revit or these different technologies. So when they're in project work, they're still new to this technology. So how do we make sure that they're supported with this technology in their project work? So you can decrease the amount of time that they might spend searching for answers. So this is going to provide them with that contextual learning. Otherwise, if they're not sure of those different keywords that they should be searching on in the platform, this is going to help take the guesswork out of the equation. So getting them the right materials at the right point in time in their project. So with this, if they don't want to see it, they can minimize that plugin and then bring it back up when they need to. And if you are publishing your own custom content as well, what you can do is actually embed your own custom content so that it is populating your training materials at the right point in time in project work, rather than just the Pinnacle Series public out of the box training materials. But just know that functionality does exist, but otherwise it is going to populate the Pinnacle Series out of the box training material that has been delivered by our subject experts. All right, and with that, I can quickly hand it back over to Rose if there was anything that I had missed. Otherwise, we can proceed forward with some of the next steps that you'd like to highlight.
Yeah, thanks so much, Haley, and thank you so much for a great demonstration. This was great. So yeah, I have a couple of things that I want to speak to you all about with regards to the subscription model. So one good thing to know is that it is sold as a global enterprise subscription. So if you're looking to purchase this for your entire organization, we can talk about the options for you and talk about unlimited employee access. If you're just purchasing this for yourself, obviously that's not something that you'd be interested in, but the ModNet team can talk more about this. And they can explain you how explain to you how this works. So one of the great features that Haley showed is that we can pick and choose those asset libraries, turn off what's not relevant, turn off version years, and we only get the latest and greatest. The content is available in over 65 languages. We have great reporting available. There's unlimited cloud storage and content customization. And if you do have an active directory for your entire organization, that's something you can take advantage of as well as our open API for any content development. And there's a lot of more features available in the platform that can help your organization. And we can talk to you more about that, and the Modena team can talk about that to you as well. But that's really what covers or what I want to cover today. So we'll open the floor for any questions. And with that, I'll turn it over to Nick.
Thank you so much, Haley and Rose. That was really very informative and detailed. Thank you both very much. I think everybody got a lot out of your presentation. I really appreciate it. Okay, so we received a few questions before the webinar, actually. The first question I have here is, who creates the content for Pinnacle Series?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the content that is created in Pinnacle Series is created by, content experts and people that actually have experience in the AEC field. So they know, firsthand the challenges the challenges that AEC professionals face and manufacturing professionals, and not just people that know the software really well, but people that actually understand what it's like to work in the software and work on projects. So created by experts, and you can definitely trust everything that's in the platform rather than other sources that you may find online.
Okay, no, that's great. Thanks. Perfect. So Haley, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so I would note that with us being an authorized publisher of Autodesk, our subject experts, so those architects and engineers, get access to beta versions to help streamline the adoption of newer technologies. So it is a challenge, when some of these technologies are publishing new version years constantly, it's a challenge to stay up to date, and how are subject experts supposed to adapt them. So we really hope to help ease that process. So our subject experts actually get access to those beta versions so that we can help you and your teams adopt those newer versions. So that's what our subject experts are doing. And so I know they're already getting ready with the 2022 for Autodesk.
Okay, no, that's fantastic. Thanks. And then I have another question here is, who sets a learning path?
Who will publish it? I guess.
Like sort of who would set a learning path? So if somebody has Pinnacle subscription, so it's obviously somebody who's using it, how would they set the learning path themselves?
Yeah, to self-enroll. So there's a couple of different ways that you can enroll in learning. So staff have the capability of self-enrolling. They can browse through the libraries that have been published and then identify that structured learning path that they're looking to self-enroll into. So you can see different outlines. Here's an entire learning path that consists of 18 courses. They'll have the capability of either self-enrolling into all the courses within this learning path. Otherwise, they have the capability of enrolling in just one course. So they can do that by browsing the libraries. Otherwise, they can also navigate into our learning center and browse different trainings. So that is just going to publish those structured learning paths. And then again, you can filter based on library if needed, and then self-enroll from here again. Otherwise, if you're a manager and you've been provided with those elevated permissions, you will have access to the management utility where you can actually assign out courses to groups of people. So identify what that correct course is, whether it is our public content or the custom content that has been created on your end. So identify the right course based on the technology that is needed. Let's see, so for this instance, we'll use Revit 2021, it might be a beginner level. And then you can add that entire learning path again, or one specific course within the learning path, and assign it out to groups of people or individual users, and then provide a due date.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think that's a detailed explanation there, and it makes it very user-friendly. Thanks, Haley.
No problem.
So thanks. Guys, please also feel free, if you have any more questions, put them in the chat. We're going to go through the other questions I have in the meantime, but please, if you have, put them in the chat and we'll answer them as we go along. The next question I have here is, are the courses accredited?
So we do have accredited course options. So there's a couple that I'll highlight that can be used for that accreditation purpose. So we are AIA accredited, and then we're also accredited for CPD. So with that, you can filter and identify, this will actually give information of, let's see, CPD is UK only. And so our certificates of completion will have that stamp of approval for the continued education hours that's required.
And just to add to that as well, Matna has accredited some of their courses in the platform as well. So if you are a customer with Matna, you'll get access to some of their courses that are accredited. And Katie, Nick, if you want to add anything to that, please do so.
Yeah, thanks. You actually mentioned what I was going to mention earlier. Thanks, Rose.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes, I'd like to maybe just add there, Rose, is our courses, we do have SACAP accredited courses. So our SACAP registered clients who's using Pinnacle can get SACAP CPD points if they do the courses.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sunday, Rose, and Haley. Really appreciate that feedback. And our third last question that I have here, if there's no more that come in, how secure is your content? It's a very interesting question, but a good one, I think.
Rose, would you like to take that?
Yeah, of course. So it's very secure. Pinnacle Series is backed by Microsoft Azure, and everybody has their own tenants. So every organization has their own tenant. So all that information that you upload is not visible by anybody else. It's just visible to you. And like I said, it's backed by Microsoft Azure. So it's very, very secure. And if you do need any more information, we can share some more information on that with you as well.
Okay, no, that's great. Thanks a million. I appreciate that. And then how up to date is the content?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Haley touched on this very briefly, but we are part of the Autodesk Developer Program, which means that we get early access to all the new releases. So before anything is published, like new versions or new software, we get access to it. Which means that we can start developing training content for it right away. So when you see updates like, AutoCAD 2022, for example, you'll see that updated in Pinnacle Series very soon after the release, and no later than 4 weeks after it has been published.
Okay, great. So it's actually really, really very sort of fresh content, basically, that's always on Pinnacle.
Yes, yep.
Awesome, thanks. And then our last question, if nobody else has any questions coming in, how do I get access to the platform?
Yeah, great question. So Haley, if you want to flip back to that PowerPoint and go to the next slide, there's the website of Matna and the landing page for Pinnacle Series. There you'll be able to find more information and also more information on how to get your hands on a trial or a subscription, and obviously it will direct you to the right people to get in touch with.
Great, thank you so much, Rose. And Haley, thank you both so much once again for your time. I think this was a great webinar, incredibly informative. I think even for myself, Anae, and Katie, who sort of sit with Pinnacle every day and go through it and all of that, it's always such a great reminder. And to see there's so many more sort of aspects to it that can be utilized, and it's a really incredible software. Thank you so much. If we have no more questions, then I'd like to say thank you for everybody else who attended. We hope it was a worthwhile webinar, which I'm sure you think it will be. Yeah, if you want to get in contact with us, please feel free to Google us or give us a call. I think you have our numbers, but we'll also be sending out this recording as well, and we'll keep you guys in touch and let you know when the next one is.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Rose. Thanks, Haley. You too. Thanks,
Thank
Anae.
you.
Thanks,
Take
Katie.
care. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.